Hello, another podcast episode. And yes, I'm in front of the camera this time. This is going to be a follow-up to the last episode. I didn't think that this was going to happen. So, on the 11th, um, I saw a post and it was the one of those that has like a quote on it, and it had to do with dating at age 40. And you can imagine that there were people, like I said in my in my last episode about people just fixated on women's fertility. I There were more posts about women's fertility than there were anything else. I kid you not. So I responded to one and I said, "Why are you so obsessed with women's fertility? It is creepy and weird." And then I even followed up on that with during my 20s, my dating life sucked. Having epilepsy, guys didn't want to, quote, babysit me. Yeah, that was fantastic. And so anyway, so I said that. And no, the stick was wedged so far up their ass that they had to say, well, this is science. So, and I of course said, you're going to hide behind science. First of all, they didn't answer the question. Why are you obsessed with a woman's fertility? This this has never been answered because I asked it several times in that video. It's not answered. See, you done been caught, and instead you're trying to throw it on me. Stop doing that. Okay, you're trying to make me look bad, and I'm sorry, but you're not answering the question. And I even gave an example. Okay, now I can understand 20-year-olds when they don't understand something like a medical condition and they go full-blown asshole and say, I don't want to babysit you, especially the guys around here during that time. I get it. They grew up. You have not. I'm talking about the people on Twitter. Because look, it was frustrating for me back then. All right, I was dealing with something. I was trying to accept it. It didn't help that there were all these guys that were making it even more complicated. Okay, so you're not out of the woods. Stop making it the woman's fault because you're just as much to blame when you're pulling asshole stunts like this. I can't date you because you have a medical condition. I can't date you because you look like this. I can't date you if you don't have makeup on. We can't put that on all the time. Okay, the fact that you say that you hate a woman who puts on all this gunk to look good, and then you turn around and you say crap like that just doesn't make sense to me. All right. And then you're going off about a woman's fertility. Well, by the time you turn 30, you're unattractive. Like what? The serious fuck. Oh my gosh. Okay. And the question was never answered. Okay. So, of like of course you have these bots that are going around. Oh my gosh, you need to take a chill pill. You need to calm down. You seem so triggered. And it's like, first of all, me having an opinion is not being triggered. This is just like whenever these corporations put out movies and they are rejected, You're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're this, you're that. No, I can have an opinion. Okay, I asked a question, it was not answered. The person said, well, this is science. Actually, no, it's not. You're hiding behind science that is outdated. Okay, and that doesn't answer the question. Why are you obsessed? It's creepy. And for you to say it's not creepy, yeah, it is. You're spouting off a bunch of information about women's fertility to try and prove that she's unattractive once she hits 40 or 30, trying to act like, well, a man never ages when they do. Okay, get off your high horse. Both genders age. Okay, and this whole thing about being triggered simply because my question wasn't answered. Yeah, that is a little triggering. Why is it so hard to answer a question? Okay. Now there was one person that I I looked back on it, it really wasn't an argument. I mean, this person stated some things and then I stated some things. It may have seemed heated at the time because there were other people that were responding this, that, and the other. But to be honest, it really wasn't heated. They had some good things to say. I gave some facts. Um, my last response was on the 11th, and it was to this person. And at the end of the day, again, I respect what they had to say, and it was valid. But like I said, with everybody coming at me right and left and everything, I'm sure they felt the same way. And I have all respect for stuff like I have said before that I have all respect for people's opinions and what they have to say. When it's something like that where everybody's coming right, I take a step back and everything. And so I didn't think that it would trigger or set off such an explosion. And anyway, that was the 11th. I said something and then I stepped away. And I hadn't been on Twitter. Look, I don't go on Twitter every day. I don't spend my entire life on social media. In fact, a friend of mine from high school was in town, sp spent some time with her and her family. It was a wonderful reunion. Hadn't seen her in 13 years. Oh my gosh. That was fantastic. And then of course I'm working on a couple manuscripts. Had the chance to sit down. My writer's block is fading, so I sat down and I worked on that. And I'm also hoping to because the every Saturday has been going really well. Can't go by last year, but yeah, so the Silent Film Critiques every Saturday is actually going really well. So I'm hoping to do something on another day. I'm just not sure what I want to do yet. So I've been working on that. So yeah, it's been eventful since the 11th. And I didn't really I walked away, I was done, it was over. Well, I did the silent film critique, and it turned out I was still signed in on that account instead of on my other account, which was the Terrence Sullivan account. And of course, there were quite a few notifications. The usual, oh, you're triggered. Again, no, I'm not. I just, it may seem like it now because I keep bringing up the fact that the thing wasn't answered. I can't understand why you can't just answer the question because you got caught. Oh, those hard facts, though, that's a problem. And to be quite honest, I looked to see if the person that I had talked to responded. They may have blocked me. Totally fine. I get it. And I don't have a problem with people doing that. I am not even gonna worry about that. So it could be they blocked me or just decided it's not worth the fight. And I feel that. But again, all I have all respect for what they had to say, and they made valid points. But I did think that they were going to respond. So I looked to see there was nothing. But there were other people. Again, this is the 15th at this point, and there's like there's like all these people who are coming after me when all I did was I asked a question. And I even said that my dating life in my 20s was terrible. Why are they so mad at me? Why are you so fucking angry at me when I stated a fact about my dating life and even pointed out that men were stupid over the fact that I had a medical condition and they felt the need to babysit me? Okay, not all men, just here, the 20-year-olds in 2004. Okay, let's just be clear before I have people jumping down my throat even more. Um, but they're like flipping the hell out. They're trying to make me look bad. Why are you still on this? Answer the question. Why are you, for as much as people are obsessed with women's fertility, why aren't you this fixated on men's fertility when they age? Now, to be honest, I don't think that we should be fixated on anybody's fertility. Just date people because you like them. Oh, you're a pretty face. I'd like to get to know you. Why is it so hard? You are making it more complicated than you need to. Like, holy shit. Well, one person did trigger me to no end. I actually retweeted them and so they said, well, women are pretty useless. All you're good for is uh making babies. Other than that, you're just and and I of course responded. I let them know that I was born deformed. I was born with seven toes on my left foot, and as a result, I was put in dance. That's why I was placed in dance class, so I could regain my balance. Now, I have to tell you something. I am not the only one who was born with extra digits and placed in dance. There are professional dancers who didn't even go through the surgery. I went through the surgery. I have a big scar on my foot. Who didn't even go through the surgery, so they actually do have the extra digits. See, the thing about that is like for me, the doctors weren't even going to do the surgery because the extra toes weren't hurting me at all. I didn't have any pain or anything like that. And then when I started feeling a lot of pain, I was running around in the backyard and I was feeling a lot of pain. So that's why I went through the surgery. I have two extra toe bones in my foot. And then when I was a teenager, I was feeling pain again. That's when we found out that there are times when the bones shift. So my teenage years, it happened. Joy. Oh gosh, that was terrible because at the dance studio, they thought that I was faking. My dance teacher tried so hard to make the other girls understand that I was not faking. I had extra toe bones in my foot. And so these we actually had to bring an x-ray for them to actually see that I had extra toe bones in my left foot and they were shifting around. And that's why a lot of times I had to sit out a class that I really was in pain. And finally, of course, I'm when you're wearing the dance tights and everything, you can't see that the foot is turning different colors. Because along the scar, it was turning purple and everything, and I had to massage it out. And well, I couldn't show them that. Well, there was one time it was so bad that I had to go upstairs into the dressing room and I took off my dance clothes and I had to ice my foot. And one of the girls came up with and to help me, and she saw the the purple along the scar. That was the first time any of the girls had ever seen the scar on my foot. And she went down to the dance room and she says, she's not kidding. She's not faking. So, but like I said, there are other dancers, professional dancers who go in and they don't have the surgery. It's just it when it doesn't hurt them, why should they take, yeah, and so but they have extra toe bones, I mean extra toes, and the way to gain your balance is either gymnastics or dance. So there are probably gymnasts who also have extra digits. And because when I was after my surgery, the doctor said, well, you can either put her in gymnastics or dance. The reason that my parents put me in dance is because I was always running around on my toes, on my tippy toes. So that's why they put me in dance. And and then I was in dance for all those years. Got the chance to be a dance teacher. I miss it. I enjoyed that job. I really enjoyed that job. Um, and of course I was struck down with epilepsy. I had all these people telling me, well, this means that you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do all this and that and this and that and la da 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 da. Oh my word. People who had never heard of epilepsy before are suddenly telling me that I can't do things. And I snapped. Everything that they told me I couldn't do, I did. And I even picked up things that I didn't even know I could do. I used to be deathly afraid of heights, right? And because of my full-blown rebellion against everybody to prove to them that I could do things and to prove to myself as well, because I was starting to fall into a depression and everything, I'm not afraid of heights anymore. I mean, there were things that I did that it's just like, nah, it's gone now. I just don't even care. And it so I mean like there are skills that I picked up along the way in my life and everything else. I mean, like I even told this person that I come from a farmer background. Like my great grandparents, my great great grandparents, and all that. I have learned to, I mean, because I used to go fishing all the time. I learned how to scale a fish and to properly cook it, even though I hate seafood. I absolutely hate, but I can do that. Now, my great grandmother, love her to death, and she she taught us how to wring the neck of a chicken. She did it so expertly. So yeah, you just grab it, wring it, and slam it. It's like, Grandma. She's like, hey, listen, when you need to eat, you do that. And then she taught us how to pluck. I don't know that I would ever need that skill, but I know it. And everything. I mean, like I said, there are so many skills that I have learned. I had to fight to actually graduate college because there were a couple of the professors that had decided that this emo kid was not going to graduate with their favorites. They figured that the emo kid was going to make their favorites look bad at the graduation showing, at the portfolio showing, and they just couldn't have that. And so I had one of my professors who was actually failing everything that I brought in, and he got suspended for a couple weeks because of it. We had a screaming match. We had several screaming matches actually, but one in particular had to do with there was a picture that I brought in of the library. Now, the thing is that this is logger country, okay? The city was founded on loggers. The city that I live in was actually built so that loggers could come in and have a place, so it was like an addition. And a lot of the houses around here were for loggers. And so a lot of there are old trees that were brought in 100 years ago. So they've been here for 100 years. Now, when I was photographing the library, uh, my professor said, well, you needed to move back a little bit more. And I said, I was like right next to a tree. The tree was right behind me. And he says, well, just chop it down. He was not joking. He said that I needed to chop. I said, I'm not going to go to jail just for a picture. And and see, it's I couldn't believe that he said that. And that's where the screaming match came in. He says, no, you will do anything for a picture. If you really want me to approve a picture, you would have done that. And I said, nuh-uh. Okay, that's just stupid. I'm not gonna. I said, are you insane? And I mean, it really came out at that moment that he was trying to sabotage my chances of graduating. Now, I had already had to withdraw before, and which kind of worked, and I don't really want to get into it, but it kind of worked in my favor. But I didn't want to have to withdraw again. It just, ugh. So, so I have a degree and everything, but I had to fight for it. Okay. Now I have a business and I'm very proud of it because I built it up from scratch. Okay. Ever since I was 6 years old, I always wanted to be a writer, and I'm a writer. I'm an author, and I'm proud of that. Okay. The things that I wanted to accomplish in my life, I have accomplished. There have been major curveballs along the way, but, and, it just, it floors me that there are people out there that actually say that women are useless when we work so hard to prove ourselves. Okay, when I was struck down with epilepsy, people thought that the massive seizure scrambled my brain so much that I didn't. There were people explaining to me how to use a toaster. That's how bad it was, right? Okay, so I have I have news for every person who seems to think that women are useless and the only thing we're good for is to make babies. Let's have a little bit of a history lesson here, because this is just ridiculous. Okay, I know that there is this whole thing that it's been a man's world for centuries. That is wrong. Okay, in Viking culture, now see, I have family who live in Norway. Okay, and they set me straight. Okay, because I started saying stuff about Viking history that we learned here in the US, and they said that's not true at all. In Viking culture, in ancient Viking culture, women ran the show. If A woman was tired of her man, she could kick him out, nobody would say the difference. Okay. And if she wanted to divorce him, didn't have to ask. Okay. We always hear the stories of pillaging and plundering and all of that. Yeah, we hear that. But as for the actual culture, women run it. Okay. Now, there are a lot of wars here in America anyway. I'm not sure about wars in other uh countries. Here in America, like in the Revolutionary War and in the Civil War, there were women who would dress as men and fight in the wars. There was a woman, my mother actually told me about her. I had totally forgotten about her. Molly Pitcher. Okay. She was on the battlefield. Her husband died, and she fought on the battlefield. She just picked up where her husband and now I know there's like a who's known as the French Lady Liberty. I restored and colorized an actress who I'm sure you've seen her. She has a costume where she has like a chicken on her head. The chicken is also stitched in, there is a chicken also stitched on her outfit. And I guess it's supposed to symbolize uh this French Lady Liberty. Um, but there is a famous painting with this French Lady Liberty. So now, of course, during World War II, Rosie the Riveter, that wasn't a man, okay? No, no, on that poster, that is not a man. Rosie was all woman, and there were several Rosies. A lot of Rosies, indeed. Yeah. Now, in ancient times, I was watching a Mary Beard documentary, and in Rome, and I'm sure that this is the same in a lot of other places in like in Greece and Egypt and all over. But they found where a woman owned a bar. Now, I'm sure that there are women who own the brothels. That's no secret. And but to own a business such as a bar is a big deal, or so we think. It's probably not that big of a deal. And so now let's look at some names of women who have gone down in history, in the history books. See, you need to open a history book before you run your mouth and say women are useless because there's Mary Curie, a physicist and chemist. Okay. Now there's who I did a video for last year. Her name is Mother Jones. Of course, she was the protester for child labor. She would stand, she looked like a sweet old granny, and she would be in the front lines with these protesters and strikers. Or it was for strikers actually. But she would also help the child labor. She was big advocate for that. And there was a lawyer who said that she was the most dangerous woman in the US during that time. There's also a Sacagawea who helped Lewis and Clark. don't forget that they let her vote. Whenever they would vote on something, she wasn't on the sidelines. She got to vote. And the other thing to remember about Sacagawea is her husband, who was the Frenchman, stood aside and let her lead. She had all that control. You also look at Hatshepsut. She did. Now there are a lot of female uh um pharaohs, not just Hatshepsut and Cleopatra. I will look for the documentary with Joan Fletcher. It's well worth the watch. But with Hatshepsut, one thing to understand with her is that she did open trade with like open an actual trade route in Egypt. I mean, people were coming and going, but the first official trade route is because of Hatshepsut. And you can correct me, of course. But and then of course Cleopatra and like I said, there were other women and but these two are the ladies that stand out. You also have uh Sojourner Truth. Now Sojourner Truth, she's one of my favorite women. She escaped slavery and she escaped with her daughter and she actually fought she went to court to get her son back. And she was the first Black woman in a white courtroom who won. So, and she was an abolitionist and she was I mean, she did a lot for um seems like she wrote some poetry too. I could be thinking of someone else, but I would not be surprised. But yeah, she's one of my favorites. Now, there's also Joan of Arc, a 14-year-old girl. And she, of course, had she led the French troops in battle. 14 years old. Okay. Tell me again that women are useless. Then you have Elizabeth the First, who is, of course, the daughter of King Henry VIII. She was the last Tudor of the era. And there were a lot of people, even at the time, after she died, who said that she was a better monarch than her father. Now, you also have to understand that people weren't calling Henry VIII a tyrant like we do today. Of course, over time, they started to realize the kind of person that he was. But one reason why they said that she was a better monarch than he was is because of the fact that when he died, the finances were drained. And he seemed more for himself. I mean, yes, he tried to his whole purpose was for an heir. He knew that he had to have that boy. Uh that's terrible wording, but he had to have an heir for the throne. And so that was his obsession. Elizabeth was all for her country, and that made all the difference. And so, I mean, look at all that she did for her country. Um, Although she and Shakespeare did not get along, not at all. Then, of course, there's Harriet Tubman. After she escaped slavery, she helped to free slaves. I don't remember the number. I think it was like 70 slaves altogether. I'm sure it's a lot more than that. It seems like she helped free a lot more than that. But yeah, she's another one that's an abolitionist. And then you also have Rosa Parks, who is known for protesting on the bus. She sat where she wasn't supposed to. And and then this is one that she for some reason is overlooked. So I wanted to talk about her real quick. Mary Edwards Walker is the only woman to receive the Medal of Honor. She was a surgeon during the Civil War. In fact, she was captured. Now, the interesting thing about her is that she wore pants during the Civil War. I mean, you think about during that time, ladies wore those big hoop dresses. She wore pants. And so, but yeah, she is the only woman, and she was a surgeon, to receive the Medal of Honor because of her work during the Civil War. She had been captured during the by the Confederates and everything. I will put information about her in the description box as well. There's also Nellie Bly. She was the investigative journalist for Pulitzer. I've mentioned her before. And and one of my favorites is Jane Goodall. We talked about when I was in grade school, we talked about her a lot. And she's, of course, one that spent time with the chimpanzees and did a lot of extensive research on uh, chimpanzees and everything. And there's, um, I know I'm going to say her name wrong, Aida Overton Walker, who was the vaudeville performer, and she helped pave the way for more Black performers. And uh, and then Josephine Baker was the first Black woman to star in a motion picture. And of course, in the movie Anastasia, you see her. She is the one who has a cheetah. These are just a few women. There's, of course, Amelia Earhart and so many other people, so many other women. And for some dumbass to actually say women are useless, that is a lie. Okay, for you to, I cannot believe that we are to this point and there are still people out there who think women are only good for one thing. I mean, just in this list alone, we have a physicist and chemist. We have someone who helped children get out of child labor. She protested so much, she helped kids and was considered the most dangerous woman of her day. Okay, we had someone who helped Lewis and Clark. We have a pharaoh, two pharaohs, I might add. We have two abolitionists who escaped slavery. We have a 14-year-old girl who helped the French army. We have a queen who also took on the role of king, which was unheard of during her time. We have a protester who went up against the bus, yeah, Rosa Parks. And of course, Molly Pitcher, who fought during the revolution after her husband died, and the surgeon, Mary Edwards Walker, investigative journalist for Pulitzer, uh, researching chimpanzees, a vaudeville performer, two performers who helped pave the way for other Black performers, men and women alike. Do not sit there and tell me that women are useless. Let's also talk about some of the suffragettes. Okay, in Mary Poppins, when she says Mrs. Pankhurst has been clapped in irons again, that really happened. Okay, it's a cute little song and everything, but that really happened. Okay, those suffragettes were thrown in jail. They would handcuff themselves to things. They did all kinds of protests to get the point across that they deserved to vote. Some 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 of the protests did get violent, and that's why they ended up in jail. But they went down in history, didn't they? Oh, just so so first of all, yeah, the statement is a lie. Women are not useless. This pretty much proves it. Uh, Men were off at war, women were assisting with like Rosie the Riveter. There were even women who, like I said, during like every war. I'm sure in other countries, I can just go by Revolutionary War and Civil War and some others where they were dressing up like men and going off to war. Dressing. Some of them were caught and everything. Some of them were spies. There were women who were recruited for spy work, and some of them were better than the men. Oh, good heavens. And I mean, like one of my favorite documentary series is the late Terry Jones from Monty Python. He has a medieval series. Now, he talks about how there were quite a few women who had businesses too. Most of them were breweries. And but yeah, a lot of those women were very successful in business, especially after the plague. So the your the statement is a full-blown lie, but what can you expect from people who can't even answer a question? This is a deflection. Okay, this is what I'm noticing about this whole thing is that you were asked a question like, why are you so obsessed with fertility? Okay, with with sex. And so they're deflecting like crazy because For some reason or another, that's a taboo subject. And oh no, we're not doing anything bad. You are. Actually, no, I'm not. So they're deflecting like crazy, and then they just go straight in and they try and make me look bad, and it's not working. Yeah, they go right into the whole, well, women are useless. Well, are you a physicist? Are you a surgeon with a Medal of Honor? I don't think so. Yeah. Um, have you done spy work? Have you done any of that? Oh my gosh. And if you look at some of the mythology, I mean, like, let's be honest, Osiris should have seen that coming from his brother. And if it weren't for Isis, he would still be chopped up little bits. Uh, yeah, poor Osiris. Poor guy. I feel for Osiris. I really do. Um, and Zeus is a man whore. He is, yeah. Of course, Poseidon is no better. I mean, if you actually, he's just as bad. It's like a woman goes near the ocean, and what does he do? Boom, pregnant. Oh my gosh. Oh, so but anyway, women aren't useless. Okay. That's just the bottom line. I want to make that very clear. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about before I do close up is, with everybody obsessing over, with Twitter at least, obsessing over women's fertility and women's aging and, the ovaries drying up and all of that. Um, One thing that seemed to really set everybody off is when I said that the sperm count does go down. Okay, somebody said that men's fertility goes down at the age of 50. Might want to check your numbers again. Uh, it goes down with different, it's one of those things where it may go down for one person on this, may go down for this person. Yeah, 30 for this person, 40 for this person, 35 for this person, maybe 25 for this person. You don't know. Everybody is different. You know that there are women who are born with no uterus, and you're going around being an asshole saying, well, egg count is this, egg count is that, egg count is this. Women who are born without a uterus, I know this because there was a girl at the dance studio who was constantly going to the doctor about this. And she had no clue, and her periods weren't coming. So she went to the doctor about it, found out she didn't have a uterus. She was, I don't know why she told us. I think she just needed that support group, and we were there. So it does happen. Okay, so you're being an absolute dickhead online, going around talking about fertility count and this, that, and the other. So I'm gonna have my bitch moment and talk about how men's sperm count goes down depending on the person. Okay. You can go all over the internet and look. There are, I mean, I actually learned this in health class. My health teacher taught us about how when you get older, this kind of stuff happens. She was talking about because we were separated in different rooms, the guys were talking to the and we were talking about, she says, now when your partner gets older, you're going to have to talk to them about this and, whatever. And she was talking about sperm count will go down just like your egg count will go down. And you're going to have to talk about this and you're going to have to talk to a doctor about this. And she says, but the other thing that happens, and you're going to have to want your partner to be tested, is sperm mutation. As they get older, there is a thing called sperm mutation, which will put the pregnancy at risk. Stop making everything about the woman. It is not always the woman's fault. Oh, when you get older, it's all, the pregnancy is all on you. No, no. Read up on sperm mutation. Okay. Now, I'm sure that there is a lot more that has happened since I was told about this, but sperm mutation does put the pregnancy at risk. You are putting your partner at risk. Okay. But not just your partner, you are also putting your child at risk. When you guys are bragging to me about, because I had like three different people talking about how, well, guys can get girls pregnant here. One person made it sound like it was like an assembly line, and then it was a real drag when women can get pregnant one at a time, only one child at a time. It's like, well, good. You just exposed yourself for being a cheater. So while this girl is pregnant, you're getting all, five other women pregnant. See, you're trying so hard to make it my problem, and you're exposing yourself. Like, yeah, I get it. Older men can still have children, but there are risks, okay? It's called sperm mutation. And you are also putting the child at risk. Things, I mean, you could end up with medical conditions. And I mean, one of the things was even cancer that the child could end up with. Go read up on it. It's all over the internet. I mean, oh my gosh, I would like to think that they have a better handle on stuff like this and that there's all kinds of, when people are attacking me because of me mentioning the blue pill, that's a deflection. Okay, that's a big old deflection. I don't know why you guys are more triggered about it than I am. And the question still wasn't answered. But there are risks. Okay, men aging, there are risks. Yes, women aging, there are risks, but you don't need to point it out every 5 minutes. And for you to actually say that men can get women pregnant, boom, 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 just proves you're a cheater. Okay. And not only that, but when you actually say to me, women are useless except to carry a child, that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. And I proved it. Okay. You're just going to be known as someone on the internet. Right? As someone who said something very, very stupid online. I have worked very hard in my life. Okay, I was born deformed and I became a dancer. Okay, when I walked away from that, I was struck down with epilepsy and I overcame that, gaining new skills. Okay, I haven't had it easy, but I don't go whining about it. Okay, I have a business now. I have a degree. And there are a lot of other women who have worked very hard because of assholes like that, trying to prove themselves, trying to prove that they're intelligent. And it's really frustrating